I agree. And it was so um it was so in context with everything, but it kind of took you by surprise. And then you never left the story,
Right.
which I thought was brilliant. I really thought that was brilliant that he was able to do that, weave it in so gently, so profoundly, and then just come in and go out seamlessly was what I
Hmm.
would notice is how I
Right.
took that. Yeah, yeah. Wow. Um, as a writer and director, what do you find to be the most challenging and as well as the most rewarding about what you do?
Well, the most challenging is staying committed when the going gets rough. I mean, it's not a one-on-one situation. It's a marathon in terms of producing a film. There are many movies that it took them like 10, 15, 20 years to make just because of the time and everything else involved. The big opportunity right now is access. I think that's the exciting part. I mean, Fav Unite is a good example of that. It's a multi-platform dealing with presenting filmmakers and all kinds of things at once, as opposed to just a streamer. So that's exciting. And that's the opportunity that we have now. We have the opportunity to do what we want to do, when we want to do it, and how we want to do it. Of course, the challenges in financing is always going to be the case, no matter what you do. I don't care what color you are or anything like that. It's just something that comes with the territory. So for me, that is what I see as challenging and also the opportunity.
Yes. And it's so interesting because I find that in music as well. My background is primarily in music, and it's really one of the reasons why my husband and I started Baby Night TV, because there is such a challenge for creators to really be seen and heard in an industry in the entertainment industry where there is um no matter where you are on the spectrum, whether you're making millions of dollars, or you're trying to get a few dollars for your film, that process is always still the same. You've got to create it, you've got to market it, you've got to engage people into the process, and but of course the more finance you have, the easier it is to do that. And so it is with music. You if you you can, many times I find myself writing a song, and I've got my phone and my recorder in my hand, and the concept comes about. And some people can go into their, multi-million dollar studio and bring in all of the musicians or bring in all of the gear and all of that. But it's still a process where the creativity starts in your mind, and you have a vision for it. And then somehow you've got to get it into a physical adaptation of whatever that is, and then you want people to see it, you want to share it with folks, and in this world of entertainment that we have today, that can be a very costly and expensive process. So we wanted to be able to have at least a platform where those things could be seen. And so I appreciate you mentioning that about Baby Night, and that's why we're here, and that's why I'm so glad that you're with us today, so that there is another place where choices can be seen and experienced by those who are fans of this platform. Um, have you, let's go back to PBS, because one thing we discussed in our kind of our discovery call is the fact that we're both from the state of Michigan, both from the Detroit era, right? And I know from a music standpoint how much growing up in Michigan at a time when there was a lot of civil unrest, where Motown was the thing that everybody gravitated towards. How I know how that impacted me as a recording artist. How did that impact you as a filmmaker?
Wow, it actually got me to be a filmmaker. When I think about Barry Gordy and what Motown did, and actually I lived a couple of blocks from where the Hitsville, USA is, and I didn't even know it as a child until I got older. I said, "Well, my goodness, this is just a mile away." But yeah, it tremendously influenced me in terms of being in the entertainment structure to begin with. To see a black man take all of that, go around the world and be a staple in the culture of many cultures out there. So I really, really was excited about Motown in general in terms of what it was attempting to do.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So, being in the Detroit area, you worked for PBS, WTVS in Detroit, as a series producer for Detroit Black Journal and Black Detroit Black News. What was your experience like creating news and cultural affairs programming for the local community?
A serious love affair. I mean, it was like a roller coaster ride in terms of the work that we had to do because we produced over 500 different programs. At least when I was there, we produced over 500 different programs. We had all kinds of formats. We had the studio audience format. We had documentaries monthly. We had just multi-camera types of programs. We had remote programs. It was all kinds of different things. But so it was like a roller coaster, but it was so much love involved in at least the crew and the staff that I was working on. It was a very exciting in general. But like I said, a lot of hard work, many hours in the studio. But it was like a history Black history course every day. Because we talked to anybody from Stevie Wonder to the mayor to a woman who was trying to work through her neighborhood to rule out redlining in her district and that kind of thing. So it was a wide range of different stories and issues that we talked about. So it was very exciting.
My dad was a consultant on a PBS show, and Topper Carew was the was the producer of that, executive producer of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so Topper and my dad are good friends, and I just remember seeing some of those episodes and how proud my dad was of being able to work on that show. And though my dad never met, but it's kind of that 7 degrees of separation, right?
Yeah, 2 degrees these days.
2 degrees. Yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
in terms of Topper, we were able to do an interview with him on Black Journal. It was a show called Image Makers, and he was on it, and Esther Roll was on it, and a couple other local people were on it. But I didn't get the chance to meet Topper many years ago, but I did meet him.
Yeah, yeah, great guy, great guy. So speaking of PBS, speaking of public broadcasting, uh, the recent federal cuts to that, and the possible and the shutdown of corporate of a corporation for public broadcasting. How do you think that's going to impact things? What do you feel or what do you think about how this will affect the ability for local stations to produce original and community-based or community-focused content?
Well, the positive side of it is they'll keep on producing and it's going to speed up the process of independent production. And actually, as you know, public broadcasting started like that. It started out of protest. Actually, I know Black Journal did, because there were no black shows on the air at all locally and even nationally, as you when you look back in history. But it's going to speed up the process of independent producers getting more independent, because you got streaming now, you've got different multi platforms like this one. It's going to be a lot available in terms of access regarding this. That I don't think that's going to stop anything because it's just, they may call it something else in the future because, right after public broadcasting had access TV. A lot of communities had access, what they call access TV. So
Right.
I don't know what you're going to call it, but it's going to speed up the process of independent production.
I love that. I love that there is a positive, a positive window or narrative around this, because there, what we always say, when one door closes, another door opens, right? So it sounds like there are going to be some other doors that are going to really open up, because creativity doesn't stop. It does
Yeah,
it keeps going.
and especially in terms of funding ideas. Now, as you know, public broadcasting, they had to pretty much put like in church when you put the cap out. That's pretty much
Yeah.
how they got their money. I know we did auctions to make some money financially, and then public television is the actually beginning of subscription TV. When you think about it, when you go back in time and say, "Oh wow, they were really the beginnings of this. This is nothing new to them." So I don't think it's going to stop the process at all.
I am so glad to hear you say that. I really am. That's good news. That's good news because the media landscape is always shifting. Now that and you brought it up, that PBS and public broadcasting really is the foundation for people who are funding what they see on their screens, on their personal screens. And so now we've shifted into this digital world. With sources like Roku, where Fav Unite also has a presence there, and Amazon, same thing. So, how does this digital pivotal or pivot impact traditional public broadcasting? And you mentioned that a little bit, but go down that path a little bit more from your perspective.
Well, streaming is just one technology. I mean, we should not just sit on streaming because there are other technologies that are coming down the road in terms of AI. So that's another thing to be thinking about as we venture into this new 21st century technology foundation.
Yeah.
Um, it's just going to be more technology that's going to impact it. Right now, the trend is to do multi-platform regarding either streaming or NFTs and that kind of thing. So we should be looking at that part of the equation too, because that's going to collide. Really, I think it's pretty much collided already. I mean, anytime you go out to
Sure.
Instagram, there's something on a visual piece that was AI generated. So and then you have the virtual reality. And I think that's going to take over theater in general. To get people to want to come back out to theater, they're going to have to probably inject virtual trips or whatever you want to call them, virtual
Okay.
reality in terms of some of the presentations. So to answer that question, it's going to be more of us being observant and monitoring the technology that's coming out.
Good point. Very good point. Well, let's get back to some of your work. Your biography mentions your work on the documentary Mudra Afrique. How important is it for well, tell us about that documentary first of all.
Yes, it was a co-production actually between a UK company and the WTVS, and they needed someone from the Detroit base to go with them to produce this. It wasn't my initial concept; it was the concept of the UK team. And what it is, it was a documentary on a new uh, Senegalese dance school, and they were trying to talk about the relationship between European dance concept and African dance concept. And I thought that was a very interesting approach to dealing with the whole notion of dance in general. They wanted to make it more global and speak to a more global audience. And that was real exciting because that was really the first time I actually stepped onto Africa. Nigeria came second, but when I went to Senegal, that was my very first experience in Africa.
Thank you for watching On Stage on Fave Unite TV. If you're new to Fave Unite TV and you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a comment below, give us a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. If you'd like to see more content from Fave Unite TV, go ahead and subscribe. We're here for Black stories and Black storytellers. We're showcasing the culture on Fave Unite TV.